what were your goals with heading into multiplayer?
Well, our biggest goal was to make sure that the game felt like Gears of War. And I know that on the surface might sound like a very simple goal, but actually it was very, very complicated. We had a new engine, Unreal 4, like a new piece of technology. We had to not just port the game, we actually had to rebuild a lot of the game from scratch. And that meant really taking apart Gears of War to find all the little minutiae about what made Gears Gears, and at the same time keeping the heart of it, right? And rebuilding all of that to make a fantastic multiplayer experience required a ton of groundwork and a ton of fundamentals. And then once we got it to a place where we felt like we had Gears of War and we had, yeah, that feels like Gears, what we brought to it as a studio is we wanted to bring sort of a deeper metagame to it, right? Something that had more water cooler moments in terms of, oh, how did you tackle this? How did you do that? So for both Horde and for Versus, we wanted to expand the sort of emergent metagame from the experience. In Gears of War, we have two wings of multiplayer. We have Versus, which is the player versus player side, and then we have Horde, which is the cooperative side. We've introduced Horde Mode 3.0 for co-op. It's a fantastic new take on the 5-player co-op survival mode from previous Gears. Inside Versus, we have the new modes are Dodgeball, Arms Race, and Escalation. So Dodgeball is a really cool mode that's sort of aimed at both social and competitive gamers. It has a neat mechanic where when you make a kill, one of your teammates comes back. Arms Race is almost a new weapon tutorial where every team starts with the same weapon. They all start with the boom shot, the biggest, most powerful weapon in the game. And every time they get 3 kills, their team's weapon will degrade. And what that means is that it's a race to the bottom. Teams have to make their way through 13 different weapons and make the final kill with the weakest weapon in the mode to win the game. And Escalation is our brand new competitive esports mode that we've designed from the ground up for competitive play, and it's got a lot of deep strategy to it where players place weapons on the map. There's a halftime. Every round that goes by, the respawn timers get longer, so every kill matters more and more and more. It's a really deep mode. So those are the new modes that we've brought. The older modes that we've are returning back to Gears 4 are things like Team Deathmatch from Gears of War 3, Execution, Warzone, Guardian. So that we're bringing those 5 back, and we've added three new ones. In Gears of War 4, players are going to have a really wide range of customizations. We've got character skins, weapon skins, and we've added something new called emblems, which are the back plate behind your name. But the new thing in Gears 4, in addition to a whole bunch of new content, we've added a card system, and that card system lets players earn content. So in previous games, you'd have to get it as part of an exclusive, or you'd have to buy DLC to get the character skins. Well, what you can do in Gears 4 is we put all those in as cards, and you can earn them. So every multiplayer mode you play, whether it's Horde or Versus, you're going to earn credits, and you can go inside the Gears store to purchase packs. And those packs will unlock cool weapon skins for you, cool character skins, all sorts of cool stuff.
What made you decide to go with a class-based system for Horde 3.0?
That's a great question. So one of the pillars, the design pillars we wanted to bring to Horde 3.0 and Gears 4 was emergence. So on the one hand, we have this emergent play through all the battlefield fortifications, but then when we looked at players' roles, we wanted to encourage players to play the way that they wanted, right? To find deeper strategies, and to do that, we needed to have players specialize. And so we had that challenge. On the other hand, when we looked at Gears 3 with Horde 2.0, at the end of the runs, players were typically resorting to 1 or 2 strategies. So by waves, 30, 40, 50, the people that used to be sniping aren't really sniping anymore. People using boom shots are really using boom. They're really focusing on the silverback inside Gears 3 and or their core Lancer play, because that's really all that could be effective. And so what we've tried to do is create more possibilities for winning, not just a single narrow way to do it. And so we wanted to create a groundwork for people that they could they create a whole wide range of options for them to choose how to build their classes fill a particular specialization, and then create work, like, and then the group has to figure out what the best team comp is, and the strategy for building the best team is going to be emergent. We don't know what it is, right? Like, we know ones that work, we know that quite a number of them work, but the best one for a given group, that's something that players are going to have to experiment for themselves. Yeah, so we saw classes really as an opportunity to have players both have a quick introduction to the game in terms of what they're supposed to be doing inside the battlefield, as well as embracing really their whole arc of their career inside Horde 3.0.
Will fans have the classic Horde mode be able to play without having to choose a class?
So one of the classes is a soldier, and that soldier is really the core Gears gameplay, right? So they have benefits to active reloads, to being in cover, to using their Lancer. Now, you could take a soldier and you could not equip any card upgrades, and you would get effectively the default gameplay for Gears of War. So you could, if you wanted to, play without any classes, and all 5 of you could take that. We think the best way to play is to, build the classes the way that you think suit your play style. But yeah, players are welcome to experiment as they see fit.
Nice. What are some of the benefits of playing the class-based system?
Well, every class has about 11 cards, and you can take up to 5 of them in with you on max level. And for example, the sniper can equip cards that gives him explosive headshots. So when he gets a headshot kill, boom, there's an area of effect damage, and he can kill other creatures around him with that headshot benefit. The engineer can build sentries and decoys cheaper, right? They can repair faster. The scout is going to be able to equip cards that give them much greater survivability, like additional health or faster regeneration, or when they pick up, they can see through walls, right? So things that allow them to survive on the battlefield. The heavy is going to get a lot of benefits to big weapons, right? Like explosive weapons, heavy weapons. As well as some cool, unique little twists, like a pistol card that, as they shoot with the pistol damage keeps going up every shot they take, right? So there's little sort of twists on each one of the classes that's nested inside those cards. So those are just a few examples. Every class has about, roughly about 11 cards each, so you can mix and match as you see fit.
Will any classic Gears multiplayer maps be making a return?
Well, at launch, we've revealed that we've got 9 new maps for Gears of War 4 plus Gridlock. So the classic Gears multiplayer map will be returning for launch. We haven't said anything yet about our post-launch plans, but we hope that fans will be happy with the maps that we bring out post-launch.
What were your goals in multiplayer map designs?
Well, our first thing was to make sure that they were all viable for competitive play. Sometimes Gears, out of the box, has shipped with maps that the competitive community has felt couldn't be used, right? So we wanted to make sure all 10 could. In addition to that, they all had to work for both Versus as well as for Horde. So we had to make sure that all the spaces were big enough that Horde creatures could move around, but also provided great combat opportunities for Versus. And it turned out it wasn't as hard as you might think. Actually, there was a lot of great synergy between the two of them, and we think it made the maps even better.
How has esports influenced how you design maps?
Esports, again, we wanted to make every map competitive, so symmetry is very important. We wanted to make sure that when people spawn on either side, that the map is very fair, right? Symmetry means that people have the same assets along the center line. We also incorporated our new mode escalation into the game, right? So that we wanted to make sure every map played really well with the new mode. So the new mode is set up with 3 rings, right? A center ring and 1 near each of the spawns, and that meant that it created sort of lanes almost between each of these rings, and that meant that the maps, we had to use that sort of those lanes as tests to make sure that the maps worked well. So it couldn't just work for TDM, it had to work for TDM as well as for our new esports mode. And that actually put a lot more restrictions on what worked well for maps than we anticipated, but it also meant that those constraints really gave us things that can inspire us to make new and interesting maps. For example, the map Forge came out of that. That was the first map that we built that was specifically designed around escalation, and we think it's one of the best maps in the game. So Gears 4 has been designed with esports in mind. A couple of the big pieces to that are obviously spectator mode. We have a dramatically improved spectator experience, including keyboard support, our new jump cam feature, a whole bunch of stats overlays on the screen. So like you can really use this now as a fantastic tool for esports casting. But then the real meat of what we've done for esports is create a new mode with esports as its target. And that's called escalation. Escalation. The difference between it and a lot of other modes from Gears as well as other console shooters is that the game evolves. It tells a story. So every round isn't the same round being repeated, any number of times. The rounds change every time. Every round that goes by, a new power weapon is added to the map, and that means that the metagame possibilities expand. So the players get to pick that weapon. When a team wins, the losing team will choose a weapon, and a new round gets played. And that means that if you're really good at sniping, you want to make sure that sniping weapons go on the map. If the enemy team's really good at sniping, you may want to deny them that and put a different weapon on there that's good for your team. So we wanted to make sure that the possibilities for teams to make really deep strategies existed inside Gears. And historically, the esports has used execution, which has really great opening strategies, but then a lot of it comes down to your mechanics play once the game gets going. And we really wanted to make sure that esports had a lot of meat here, right? We wanted something that was a lot of depth to sustain a community that was really passionate about making deep competitive games.
How have you seen the watchability of Gears 4 multiplayer from internal and external testing?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, because Gears 4, right at this moment, it still hasn't been launched. The watchability of it, like we'll see, like we'll find out when we launch it, what the rest of the world thinks. But with the new spectator controls, we have really dramatically been able to improve casters' ability to showcase the action to people that may not be as familiar with it. So classically, Gears has had a very intimate camera, which is great, very visceral, provides a lot of reactions. But what we've done is we've let casters, sort of give them a lot of camera tools to pull off a little bit back from the character to frame the action. So we have a new ghost cam, like we talked about the jump cam. So once casters get used to these tools, we really are looking forward to the possibilities of what they could do with them.
What do you feel is the key for having a successful esports title?
Well, I think there's two big pieces. One is you need to have a game that's fair and fun and deep, and then you need to have a great esports program. So you need to have great casters, and you need to have great an organization, and you need to have ability to get players into it. So like the running of that program, the making sure that it's run smoothly is extremely important, and that needs to be partnered with a really great game. So I think like the key is to have both of these working really well together, and that's something that we're really proud of, that we've got both a great game and a great esports program.
Did you learn anything from what Microsoft has done with Halo esports?
Yeah, we actually spoke quite a bit with that team and with the Halo team, and we went down to their finals and we watched their games, and yeah, like we've talked with their design team. So there's been a lot of learnings that have flowed back and forth between the two different teams, and we take different approaches in some areas, but a lot of knowledge is shared.